buying a business, I think the first thing I would say is that buying a business can be easy or it can be complicated. And it can be a whole business or it can be a part of a business. So why might you want to buy? Hi, Stacy. Why might you want to buy a business? One reason you might want to buy is that you have a local competitor who's decided that they want to sell. And you have found out and you're interested in potentially purchasing that brand and that business from them. Another reason you might want to buy is you might want to literally just buy your competition out. Balloon Decor has a lot of markets now. We have a lot of competition, even in small cities and towns. And so you might be in a place where you're profitable and you're growing and you want to push that gas pedal down. And so what you want to do is you want to purchase your competitors or other types of event businesses that are compatible with yours, or decor businesses that are compatible. Like I mentioned earlier, you might also be looking to expand your geography to other places. And so you want a location in another city or town or geography. That's another great reason to buy. And when you're looking to purchase a business, there's kind of two paths you can go. You can go talk to the business brokers and say, hey, I'm interested in buying this kind of business. If you have anybody who's got this kind of business, I want to buy it. The other thing you can do is you can just start calling people and emailing people and saying, hey, you ever thought about selling your business? Hey, Jeff, I have an agency. We're growing. We're buying other agencies. Have you ever thought about selling your business? And you can just go find those people that have what you want out there. It's no different. Honestly, it's no different than buying anything else. You might have to go to the store. You might have to go to the farm. You might need to go to a place where you don't normally go, or talk to people you don't normally talk to, depending on what it is you're buying. You might be remodeling your house. You might be buying a car. It's not really much different than that. It's just that the complexity of the thing that you're buying is substantially bigger. There are a couple types of purchases. There's an asset, what's called an asset sale or an asset buy, and there's a business sale. The significant difference here is that an asset purchase means that you're not buying the business entity. You don't get the bank accounts. You don't have debt. You're not taking on debt. You're literally just buying the assets. So in Balloon Decor, what are the assets? The assets might be the inventory. Assets would be the customer list. Assets would be the CRM, the customer relationship manager. The assets would be the brand. So the website, the social media, the brand, literally the logos and the name. And if there's a trademark, the trademark, those are the assets in the business. So you might be buying assets, or you might be buying like the entire LLC or the entire S corporation, depending on how the business is set up. Both are a fine way to go. The one thing you really, really need to understand at this moment is that when you buy a business entity, you're buying all of the risk that previous owner took on. So if they have debt, you're taking on debt. If they have legal liability that you did not know about, you're taking that on as well. That business could be sued later for something that happened under previous ownership, for example. So when you buy the business entity, you're taking on also the liabilities of that business, not just the assets. When you buy the assets, you're just taking on the assets, but there's things that you're typically not getting. You're not getting the cash. You're not getting the accounts payable. You're not getting the bank accounts. You're going to be setting up your own bank accounts. You're going to be right. So there's kind of some differences in what the experience is when you purchase. So something that would be, I think the equivalent thing, I can't really think of an equivalent, to be honest. I was thinking of like, what else do we buy in life that comes with baggage in the same kind of way that a business purchase does?
If I had to put an example,
kids are the thing that came to mind.
Or a purchase of a car. I mean, over time, like things happen. Wears off.
Car and a house might be the closest. If you have rental properties, you'll understand this very well, because when you're operating, rental is a business and you're operating it as a business.
Right.
So Jeff, what's better, an asset sale or a business sale, or asset buy or a business buy?
Yeah.
The answer is it completely depends on what your goal is and what you're trying to do. If you purchase a separate business entity, you've got a separate legal entity operating as a business. And that has some substantial advantages. Having multiple business entities can be very advantageous for you for taxes and other reasons. Keeping it all simpler and in the business entity you have now and just doing an asset purchase, that can also be very advantageous and very helpful and help your business grow. I think that's what I would say about that. So one question that often comes up is, how much should I buy a business for? This is a fantastic question, and it's completely dependent on the value you believe you're going to receive from that business, right? What are the assets worth? What are you as an owner going to be able to bring to it to change the revenue, to change the sales? Do you already have a system that's working really well and you could bring it to that business and you know that you're going to see a benefit in the performance of that business and its ability to make profit? It's completely dependent on what you think the value is to you as an owner of those assets. Now, there's some industry typical ways to measure or think about the value of an asset or the value of a business. It's generally going to come down to the average 12-month monthly net profit or owner take home. So it's that net profit plus owner salary if the owner's taking a salary. And it's often going to come down to what's called a multiple of that. So the multiple could be based on months, it could be based on years. So sometimes you'll hear, businesses under $1 million typically sell for multiples of 2 to 4 of annual net or annual owner take home. So if you take, you look at, let's say last year is an average year, you look at your last year's net profit or total owner take, and you multiply it by 3. That might be what a business is typically listed for sale at. You can think about an asset purchase the same way. What's the value? What's the money being generated as profit? And some multiplier on top of there, and then that's what I'm considering. So as a like we have houses have a market, and the price kind of goes up and down on the houses. Businesses have a market, and the prices go up and down on businesses. But a business that's making under $1 million a year is generally going to be in that 3 multiple range, 2 to 3 multiple, I would say. And then businesses making over $1 million can be closer to 4. And then businesses over 10 million can be anything. They can be, the bigger the business, often the bigger the multiple that buyers will consider. So this is, if we come back to that earlier story about selling, and the business broker who I met, and her introduction was, my job is to make grown men cry. As a broker, now you can see why, because you're probably thinking about your business right now and how much money your business made in profit last year, or what that total owner take is, and you're multiplying it by 3, or you're multiplying it by 4, and you're like, I thought my business was worth a lot more than that. Well, this is the reality of it. So this is why, if you're selling, this is why you're going to go through that prep period. If you're buying, you're looking for businesses that maybe you have a great system for, but the current owner is not able to get the profit out. They're not as effective as you would be in running their business. These are great opportunities, because that business, if you think about the multiple, if you think about what the market would pay, it's going to be a lot less than what you can achieve out of it. You can grow that business substantially in a short amount of time by bringing your processes and systems to it. You can buy and sell big things and small things. I think that's just the other thing I'll mention. So the asset purchases can be $500 and up. If you have a competitor who's shutting down and you just want to buy their brand name and their logo and their website and their Facebook account, maybe you pay $500 for that. And now you have a source where people can call you and they're going to generate leads for you, right? Maybe you're going to purchase an entire customer list, and you're going to purchase inventory and all these other things, and you're spending 10 or 20 or 50,000. Maybe you're buying an entire business entity, and it's been established and it's got a track record of revenue, and you're paying $1 million for it. There's an entire range here, but I also want you to understand that the low end of this range, particularly on asset purchases, is just like buying anything else that you would buy for your business. Typical time frame for buying a business, like how long does it take? If you're buying assets, the typical turnaround is a lot shorter because you don't have to assess your legal liability by buying a business. When you buy the business, again, you're buying the liabilities, legal liabilities, loans, things like that. You're generally going to work with an attorney or a broker to help determine what your risks are. And so what you would be willing to spend for that business if you buy the business entity. And so that's going to take a lot longer than if you do an asset purchase. Asset purchases can be done today, right? You agree on a price. I'm going to buy these 3 things. Everybody agrees, a credit card goes up, and that's how payment happens because it's not very much money, and boom, it's done and you own it and it's over.